हाँ जी, कैसे हो सब? So welcome back to another video where we will be building an end-to-end project from implementation, theory to deployment. We'll be walking you through all the concepts that we use, and these concepts are not simple. We'll be using streams, sockets, a normal plain HTTP Java library, and I'm not using any framework. Why? Because framework hides a lot of details and that we don't want in this video. We want to touch all the topics in detail, so that's why we are using a plain normal HTTP library of Java. And apart from that, in UI we'll be using NextJs, and to deploy we'll be using reverse proxy as Nginx, Docker and AWS. So stick through the overall video, you'll find it very insightful because we will cover multi-threading, we'll cover streams, all these concepts we'll cover which are not beginner friendly, and we will make it beginner friendly. Before starting the video, make sure you like it, you subscribe the channel, and people who are new to our channel, we are running a live cohort, and which I proudly can say is most affordable and super value packed cohort, and you can compare that cohort with anyone's cohort in India, right? This cohort will upskill you whether you are a fresher, SDE1, whatever. If you want to be job ready, internship ready, because we have DSA, LLD, HLD, projects, assignments, group projects, community support, and mock interviews from people like who are working in Amazon, Flipkart, MediaNet, right? All those people are in our community, and those people will be taking your interview and providing you the feedback. So if you want to join, go through each and every single detail of the cohort first from the link in the description, only then enroll if it aligns with your goals. Cool. So let's start today's video. This video is gonna be long, so make sure you bring up some coffee. So people might find this project difficult in between, like let's say around 1 hour, 1.5 hours when I will be coding. But don't worry, after code, I will always go to structure. I will always restructure the project and will explain. So don't worry, just stick end to end. You will find it very easy after, we will complete the project, because we will include theory after code. Don't skip in between. Don't leave in between, because sometimes you will find it difficult, and after a point of time in video, I will explain how sockets are working, how data is flowing, what is the client doing and server doing. So don't worry, I got you. Okay, so let's start the video. Cool. So this is a website called Send Anywhere. So let me tell you a story. So basically our company laptop doesn't allow to share anything from SSD, pen drive, or any phone, right? So if I want to share anything, I have to use websites like this, where you can just click on send and select any file. Let's suppose I am selecting this JVM internals PDF. After selecting the file, you will click on send, and when you will click on send, this will generate a code 005057, and someone who is sitting on the network from other end of the world, he can accept, and to accept this, he has to enter this code on his machine, right, on the same website. So then my machine and his machine will be able to communicate together, and P2P file sharing can be enabled, right? So this is the core idea. At first sight, it might feel very simple, right? It might feel very simple, this is very simple to make, but the thing is, it's not very simple to make because a lot of things are involved, right? So the thing is, I want multiple clients to be able to connect to my server. I want P2P sharing to be enabled. I want the download feature on the client side also. So before that, let me quote some of the concepts that we'll be using. So we'll be using sockets, socket programming, right? It is a most common way of programming whenever you are programming without any framework. Then second thing, we'll be using an HTTP plain library without any framework on our backend from Java. The language that we are using is Java only. And why we are using this plain library is because we don't want to, use the abstracted methods. We want to dig inside what exactly HTTP means, how files or how data is being shared over this protocol, right? Then third thing that we'll be using is streams, how you can use output, input streams, file streams and all in Java. And people who are in our live cohort, they must know that we have already covered all those things, right? And the next thing that we will be using is multi-threading. So multi-threading will be allowing us to allow multiple clients to be able to connect to our server. And then what we'll be using is normal exception handling and all. So people who are new to Java, right, and they want to see how we can use Java, right, they can use this project in their resume, and they can extend this project also. Then in UI, I vibe coded this UI from start to end, because I don't want to go through the styling details, the CSS things. This is bullshit, right? I don't want to walk you through these details like styling and CSS. Okay, so all these things I have vibe coded through Cursor or and Claude, right, using a combination of both. And I will be walking you through how CSS or styling or functions are implemented in front end, but we will be implementing backend from scratch, right, because that is more important, and that's our channel. So styling CSS and all, then we will be using Axios to communicate to our server, and then just a normal file upload and download from the browser, and this thing we'll be doing in the UI or client side, right? So my server is in Java, that is backend of our application. This is my client, and I want to make what? Peer link is the name of this project. Peer link P2P file sharing app, right? So after doing this, what we'll be doing, we'll be using reverse proxy as Nginx, right, so that we are able to handle the outside traffic from our VPS. And the VPS we will be using AWS VPS, virtual private server, named as Lightsail. It is free for 3 months, and after that it's very cheap, and it's a very good way to monitor. And then we will be using something called and then we will be monitoring CPU metrics, memory metrics also, so that this project could serve as an end-to-end app, so for someone who want to build his own product. So we'll be monitoring CPU, memory, and everything after building deploying our project. We'll be using Docker to containerize our app, so that we can take the containers out and put those containers in our machine, and the communication over our AWS machine can be handled through a reverse proxy called Nginx, right? We'll be writing scripts of VPS deploy, right? So all these things are covered in this project, and these kind of projects we are also covering in our live cohort, which is not only about Java. Golang is also coming, so you can check that out. So before starting the project, I will try to structure the project, because that is more important. And structuring the project is nothing but a kind of architecture that my project is following. So we have client, or mainly I can see UI, right? So client, the main endpoints that we'll be going through are upload, download, right? Now the thing is whenever I'm downloading, you have seen that whenever I was using send any share, that website that someone built, it was generating some random number, and if I am the receiver, I have to enter that number in my machine, so that the person who is willing to send a file to me, he should be able to connect with me. So the number that I will be using here is port, right? So why I'm using the port, don't worry, we'll come to that. So then this is your server. Now in server, we have few of the components. We have file sharer, then we have file controller, we have multiparser inside file controller only. Inside file controller, we have multiparser. Okay, and we have handler inside our file controller only. The handler we have so these are the main core components. So we have file controller, which has download handler, which has upload handler spelling you can check out. We have multiparser to parse our HTTP request. So whenever some client wants to upload any file, what it will do, it will hit our file controller, right, upload handler. It will hit upload endpoint, and it will upload in a raw format, right? So format that our HTTP handles files is like this. Okay, so HTTP, what exactly is HTTP? People who are not aware about this, HTTP is nothing but a protocol, a set of rules that you used to transfer data across the network, right? So if my computer now is, using a website, you can go inside inspect tools. You can go here, let's suppose inspect. You can go to network and you can refresh this. Now whatever the server it is using, online notepad, it will be making some calls to server, right? To make a call over the network to a server, we have to use HTTP, which is a protocol and which has a specific structured format, right? The structured format for file sharing over HTTP is like this. You have HTTP rule, which is post method, right? So in HTTP, we have multiple methods like post, get, put, delete, patch, right? And all these methods are nothing but a way to tell our client or server what exactly I am willing to do. So here I am posting some data over upload endpoint and HTTP protocol 1.1 I am using, and then host that I am uploading that file from is localhost as of now. The agent who is uploading this file is Mozilla, and then content length, and then you will see key. These are the headers. So whatever this is, key colon value, this is nothing but a header key value pair. Content type I am trying to upload is multi-part form data. So it is a blob object. So basically whenever you are uploading a file, right, file is not a JSON. So people who are aware, most common structure to upload data in a HTTP request is like JSON, where you have key like this and you have value like this, right? You have key 1 value 1, then the next thing you have key 2 value 2. So this kind of structure is called JSON. But in case of files, you have to upload like content type is multi-part form data. When we are using JSON, it will be content type JSON, or when we are using raw text, it will be text. So then whenever you are passing files over network, you have boundary, right? Boundary, these are the reserved keyword boundary. You have this rule webkit boundary and hash. Then you have content disposition form data, name is message. Then you have hello P2P, handshake, then whatsoever, then content disposition form data. Now this is the main thing, that file name is my document.txt that user is trying to upload to the server. So obviously if two people wants to, if this is a user 1, if this is a user 1 and this is a user 2, and they want to share a file between them, right? So if user 1 wants to send a file to user 2, this user 1 is nothing but a client, and this client will upload a file to the server, right? This client will upload a file to the server, because server is the component which is responsible for handling multiple users, multiple clients, and able to send files over to the multiple clients, or like across the clients, right? So this is a server. So user 1, it is acting as a client. It will upload a file, and after uploading a file to server, it will generate a number. That number we are generating it as a port, and that user 2, user 1 will say, okay bhai, मैंने file upload कर दी है, now you have to receive the file. So user 2 will ask for the code, and the code here we are using in our case is nothing but a port. So user 1 will say use this port. So as soon as user 2 will enter its port or number, it will be able to accept the file whatever user 1 has sent through the server. So this is the core business logic, right? So this is what we are trying to figure out. So whenever we are uploading anything, the upload data will be coming in this format, and whatever the file content is, it will be encoded here. This is the content. So let's suppose you are transferring a txt file, the txt content will be written here, right? So this is how like the raw data will be uploaded. Now whenever I am using raw data upload, right, so my file controller have few endpoints. So first endpoint it has is upload, and second endpoint it will have is a download, right? So whenever client is trying to upload a file to my server, so this is my server, so it's nothing but what it will do, it will try to invoke upload handler, right? Upload handler invocation is done using HTTP library, and the work of HTTP library is only limited to getting the headers, invoking a endpoint like upload and download, and that's it, right? All the parsing of this data, whatever the raw data is coming on our endpoint, that parsing we will be doing in our multiparser. ठीक है. So whatever HTTP data is coming in our endpoint, that will go through our upload handler. Upload handler we use multiparser. ठीक है. So multiparser upload handler will use to parse the data. ठीक है. As soon as it will parse the file, right, from the whatever upload endpoint has, it will generate a file. So after generating a file, this file I want to serve, and I will say that whoever wants to get this file is offered by server successfully, right? As soon as I am able to parse the file content, what I will do, I will make sure that my server is, you know, offering the file. As soon as someone will come enter the port, right? As soon as someone will come enter the port, this file who is being served will be sent to that user. So this file, it will go through the, it will go to filesharer, right? It will go to filesharer. Now filesharer, what it will do? Filesharer will do only one thing, which is start a thread, serve the file on port. So what it will do, filesharer will accept a port, right? It will accept a port, it will start a thread, and it will serve the file on that port, right? Whatever port is generated, and that port only, when as soon as user 2 will enter the port, right, this user 2 will hit the download. Now this user wants to download. So when this user 1 was hitting upload to upload its file, it will generate a port, and then when user will hit a download to download the file, it has to enter the port. This user has to enter the port. So as soon as it will hit the download endpoint of my server, download handler will be invoked through my HTTP, right? And that client I can call here. This is a client, another client who wants to download. It will hit the HTTP, right? And download handler, what it will do, download handler will also then be using nothing but a file sharer, because file sharer server is already serving the file on the port, right? So download handler will do nothing but it will open a socket. It will open a socket, right? It will open a socket, direct socket. Open a socket, direct socket. It will open to the client, and it will share all the data which is being served on this port, right? So this file sharer will do nothing but it will add all the history. What are all the files being served on port 1, port 2, port 3, these kind of things. And whenever any client comes, let's suppose client 2 comes, it will say कि भाई 2000 पोर्ट पे जो है मुझे दे दो. I will go to file sharer. I will check कि भाई कौन सा पोर्ट पे कौन सी फाइल सर्व हो रही है. I will use that thread, and that download handler will basically invoke that, you know, port, and it will send all the things on a socket. So this is the structure, right? This is the structure. I hope everyone is clear. If no, you know, if you have any doubt, so I will recap. So basically in this project we will be using this, and whenever someone client wants to upload any file, the HTTP data will look like this. Okay, this is a raw HTTP data, and we are parsing the HTTP data without any library. Why? Because we want to learn how HTTP parsing works, right? So that's why whenever one client is trying to upload, it will hit upload file controller upload ka, you know, endpoint, and upload handler will do nothing but it will use multiparser to parse the data whatever client has uploaded over the network. Then my multiparser will parse and generate the file content. As soon as this file content is valid and my multiparser is able to generate, I will start a thread through a file sharer, you know, component in my server, and that file sharer will start a thread on that port. Now client 1 uploaded through hitting a upload endpoint. Client 2 wants to receive that file, and it has to hit download ka endpoint, right? He will open the website, he will go and click on receive, and there he has to enter the port. As soon as he will enter the port, that client will hit download handler, and download handler will do nothing but it will use file sharer to serve the file. After opening a socket, it will directly use that port to send the file to client 2, right? So this is how the overall structure looks like. When we'll code, it will get more clearer. So let's go and start coding. Okay, so here this is how my project looks like. Okay, so I have UI. This is all vibe coded through cursor and, you know, Claude, and I have src app components. This is Next.js, so make sure you have Node installed. If you have not Node installed in your machine, make sure you go on internet and just click node download, है ना, whatever your operating system is, Mac operating system or Windows, just type there and install node. Then you will be able to access npm also, right? If you are done with this, or you can just go in my branch, I will put the link below. The branch you have to switch to git checkout UI branch, okay? And here you will have a basic UI. So let me start UI first. So let's go to src folder, UI folder and npm run. So first you have to do npm install, right? Then npm start. Okay, what is it saying? Cool. npm run dev. As soon as you will click on this localhost, you will be able to see our p2p file link, right? This is vibe coded, so don't worry, I have not made this. So this is what we will click on this thing. You will select a file. So as soon as you will select a file, it will try to hit upload endpoint of our server. Though now server is not up, that's why I'm getting this error. And on the other machine, whoever user wants to receive this file, he will click on receive file. He will enter the invite code, which is nothing but a port number, which are, when I was generating a file, I generated a port, and person who want to receive this file on his computer, he will be clicking on receive a file and entering the port, right? So this is how it looks like. So I will walk you through the main components. So first one is page.tsx is the main component where everything is happening. So we have used some of the React hooks like uploaded file. So whenever you are starting uploading, right, uploading a file, you have selected a file, then it's being uploaded, right? So whenever the file is being uploaded, so this is uploading will be set to true, right? Why it will set to true is basically we have to show the loading whenever your file is being still in uploading state. So as soon as your file is being uploaded, so this uploaded file will be set to whatever your file is being uploaded. This file is set to whatever your file is uploaded. So then after uploading a file, right, after uploading a file that we have seen here, after uploading a file, a port number will be generated on the screen. So that port and set port hook is there, right? And active tab is nothing but whenever you switch between tabs, this is what if else check will be marked on. So basically active tab will see by if it is on upload or download. According to that, it will render the component if it is a upload page or download page, right? So then we have functions like handle file upload. So whenever I am done with file uploading, I will click on upload, right? So what it will do set uploaded file. So whatever my hook was, set uploaded file, it was successfully loaded with this file. So that's why I am setting my uploaded file as this file. After that is uploading is true, it's being uploading as long as a user is not accepting my upload. So then what I will do, the form data is used. So if you will check form data, it is nothing but it is used for file upload. Here what I am doing is form data dot append file, and I am appending the file that is being uploaded, and this function is async. I hope people are aware about UI. Okay, I don't want to teach async await and all these things. Okay, and as soon as you will be able to open the file, you will try to hit the API which is in our server /API/upload, and you will send the form data, right? And content type, just keep attention to the fullest, right? Just make sure, just take a note that you are setting a header content type multi-part form data. We're using this header same on our server to make sure that someone is hitting our API upload with this header. This header will make sure that whatever you are getting in the data is the file data. So then we'll set the port. So whatever my server, someone will hit my server, right? Someone will hit my server upload. So he will get a port back. Right? And that port only after upload we will show on this screen, right? So that's why we will set response.data.port. Whatever response we'll get from server, we'll set that port from the data to our main port, which is here, right? So after this is what I talked about upload, right? This thing. So let's suppose uploading is done and this is a black box. You don't know even ki what is going inside the server. Kya ho raha hai server mein hame nahi pata, right? We don't even have a clue. So we just know ki bhai whenever I have clicked on upload, we have generated a port 2523, and someone else user want to use that file 2523 whatever port, he has to enter in this रिसीव अ फाइल बटन, ठीक है, 2523। अभी करोगे तो कुछ नहीं होगा, बट या, so what will happen is then handle download button on the client side will be triggered, and then what we will do, we will trigger API download with the port whatever user has entered inside the port dialog box. That port will be used, and response type what I'm doing is ki as soon as I'm hitting the download, I am giving the download with port, right? So user is hitting download port in front end first, because user has access to front end, right? Front end is able to access backend, right? So he is hitting this, right? So whenever I'm hitting this, then what we are doing is then my this user is not hitting server, it is hitting client actually, because see, client means nothing but your website. So sir, whatever user is entering, this request will go to client first, and then this client client code will be able to connect to server. So now this client ka code will be hitting this API download, and then with this download this API will make sure that it is sending the appropriate headers, so that my server is able to understand ki bhai kya dena hai, right? So that's what response type blob is. So then URL, what we are doing is we are doing nothing but we are just generating a URL, so that using that URL we can download a file. This is how you have to download a file in your UI, ठीक है? Then you have to generate a link. Document.create link will do nothing but a link it will create where you will click and it will download, right? Try to get a file name from the response handlers. So whatever response I am sending from my server, so this client wants to download, right? It will say ki bhai this is what my port I am using. I will say ki okay, fine. So if port is valid, my client will be able to download by sending appropriate headers, and in the response I will get file name, right? File name and few more headers, right? Content disposition is a header that I will send from server, so that whenever you are downloading your file, you are able to download it properly. So look for content disposition header regardless of the case if it is there or not. Just look for always if this is there. So key in headers. So whatever headers I am sending in the response from the server, you just have to check if content disposition is there or not, right? And file name, by default you will take downloaded file, right? If content disposition header is there, which means you have a content disposition header in which our file name will be there, then you will not use this default name. You will make sure that our regular expression you will use file name ke aage jo bhi hai, you will use that name as your download file name, right? Not your default name. If it is not there, then well and good, we'll use this. Then nothing but whatever link you have generated there, you will make sure that I am able to download this. So this is how you are download, and then you only in the code will be clicking on that link, and after click on the link a dialog box will appear, you will download and click .remove. So this is what is there, right? That is all what is there. So then you will check here that I have added few of the components. Like the first component I have added is, so basically whatever tab you are on, if upload or download, so that's what this component is: upload, receive a file, or download, send a file or receive a file. If you are selected a file, right, if your file is successfully uploaded, then you are making sure that uploading file is removed. So all these UI components you can go through, just link is in description in the repository. And whenever you are downloading, you are making sure that you are rendering one component file download. When you are uploading, you are making sure that you are rendering component file upload, right? So file upload is here. So here you can check that when the drag and drop option is also there. You can drag a file and while sending a file you can drag and drop a file. So for that, this is here, right? So this is also AI generated. So it's nothing but you just are dragging a file and dropping somewhere, and then after that you are doing nothing but you are doing on drop. Whenever you are dropped, you are making sure you are checking how many files you have dragged and dropped. If it is more than 0, you are just making sure that you are able to send one file at a time, right? So whenever you are able to send one file at a time, then you are calling on file upload function. On file upload function is nothing but this function only. Where is it? This handle file upload, whichever we have discussed already. Handle file upload. Similar is the download. Whenever on the receiver side someone is entering the invite code, the invite code will be set to non-empty invite code. As soon as it is set to non-empty invited code, I will submit. So as soon as I will submit, I will make sure I will trigger on download with that specific port whatever user has entered. All that other code is styling and bullshit. So just get back, then handle download will be called, right? Because whenever you are here, you are calling nothing but on download, and on download is nothing but your handle download function only. How? Because whenever I am rendering file download, in on download I am passing, where is the download? I am passing handle download only, right? So as soon as you click on submit, your handle download will be eventually called, right? So yeah, this is the front end code, a normal, very normal front end code. So we have to make sure that we are making this thing, and then we will deploy, right? And then we'll test, we'll see the metrics and all, like CPU memory and all, like a production application. Cool. Let's go ahead. So we'll be using Maven, right? People who are in our live code, they must have known that what Maven is, or even if you don't know, the videos are free, content is free. We are not charging for the content. It is there in the playlist. I will attach somewhere here. So Maven, we'll use Maven ARCHE type generate, and just click enter 9 and click on enter. Group ID P2P, archetype ID I will do enter, and package I will create P2P, enter, right? So go in SRC main Java P2P, you will be able to see your main application, right? This is the application which is nothing but a normal without any framework or anything. This is just a Maven application, and pom.xml is the one that we will use to add any dependency, though we will not add any dependency as of now. So we'll use we'll create few of the things. Like first thing that we will create is nothing but a package, and then another package we'll create is controller, and the third package that we will create is utils. So utility classes, all the faltuka stuff will go here, right? So the first thing that will create is our service, which will be our main business logic, right? So the first thing we'll create is file sharer. Okay, so let's not add here. So file sharer is nothing but this is the one, where is it? Yeah, so this is the one who is responsible to check who all files are being served on the thread, right, on a port, and it will maintain a history of all the files that are being served on the server. So for that we will be using private hash map, and we will make sure that we are storing integer as the key, which is a port, and string as the file path or file name. So on port, let's suppose 2000 port, file name, let's suppose test.txt is being served. So that is the dictionary or hash map we'll be saving available files, right? So this is our first thing that we'll be using. Let's go ahead, file sharer, let's make it constructor. So as soon as someone will make an object of my file sharer class, I will make sure that available files is it is initialized to empty map. So earlier, whenever I am starting my server, there is no file available to serve on the server, right? So then I will make sure that whenever someone is making sure that he has uploaded a file, right, on my server, then he wants to generate a port, right? He wants to generate a port. So I will try to offer a file. So to offer a file successfully, what is the necessity? We have to make sure that at least one port is available for that file, right? So what we'll do is we'll loop until we find a port, right? So port, we will make sure that we are able to find inside our upload utils, right? Upload utils, or जो भी आपको नाम रखना है, you can name it. Generate code. Code is nothing but a port itself, right? So whatever code we are generating, it will be a port only. So yeah, so let's generate a code. So this is a utility class, right? So why it's a utility class? Because it is a very normal class, right? So what we will do is int generate code, and we'll make sure this method is static. Why? Because I don't want anyone to make an object of your upload utils. So the very common practice is, so if you have a utils class, you make that util class as a class having all the static methods, right? So int, so you can go in internet and check unreserved ports, right? So unreserved ports are the ports which are not being taken by any application. So I will make sure that that port only I'm able to get. So dynamic starting port, right? 5535. Okay, so then we'll generate a random number, right? All the time we'll generate a random number, new random, return random dot next int, and next int I want to return from a range. So dynamic starting port minus, or you have to give a minus absolute value. So dynamic ending port and dynamic starting point port, and plus dynamic starting port. So it's making sure that overflow is prevented, right? That's the only thing why it is like this, right? So cool. So it's dynamic ending port minus dynamic starting point port is nothing but 855535 minus 49. So it's around 40 only, plus starting point port, right? So it will generate under these bounds, right? So you can see the definition of this random function, which is next int from and to. So from is my that subtraction ka result, and ending is my nothing but whatever ending port is. So that is what next int here is. So that is what I will generate. So 85535 minus whatever, starting from that to whatever the addition of this result is. All in all, I am trying to generate a port between this dynamic range, right? So let's save this and go here, and let's upload utils.generate code. I want to call this method until I found a port and which is not reserved for any file which is being served by my file sharer class, right? So that's what I am trying to do here. So let's go and check if that port is already there, available files and dot contains key, and if that port is already there in my hash map, so that means at least one file is there which is being served on the same port, right? So that's what it means. So if it is not containing that port, then I will directly fail fast, which is nothing but I will put available files dot put, and port I will be adding this port. If that key is not present, if that port is not present in my available files, means that port is empty or vacant and I can reserve that port, right? So if that port is available, I will make sure that, okay, I'm not selecting offer file. So whenever someone is calling offer file, he must be calling that method with a file path, right? And if I am able to get at least one port which is not reserved, I will make sure that that file is being offered on that port, right? So after that, I will return the port, and that's it, right? That is it. So while true, if I am able to find a port, well and good. If I'm not able to find a port, I will keep continuing this cycle and offer file will be there. So going forward, if your infinite loop, which will not happen, but if you are able to get into infinite loop, you can just put a timeout key by if under 4 seconds you are not able to offer a file, you will print key by not able to upload a file or server is busy, right? So that is the one case, but that is it. So offer file someone will call to make sure that if file is being uploaded, what is the port that it can offer to, so that whoever wants to download that file, he can connect on that port, right? So that is the thing. Public void start file server. So as soon as someone wants to download a file, he will be downloading a file through filesharer. He will first hit the file controller /download API. Then I will make sure that this server, because one thread will be responsible for sharing a file app to file to someone on the network. So what I will do is I will get available files dot get port. So if someone is trying to get or connect on that port, I will try to get the file which is being offered on that port, right? So first thing is that if I am not able to find any file on that port that is being offered, right, if file path is equals to null, then what I will do is I will print that no file is associated with port and let's enter the port and return from here. This is the first thing. Now second thing is use try catch block when you are sending anything. So if you'll open a socket in try block only, it will be automatically closed as soon as you go outside of this block, right? If you'll open a socket inside this. So let's open a socket, server socket, right? Server socket is equals to new server socket, and let's open a server socket. So whenever someone is saying ki bhai someone is here to download a file, right? Someone is here to download a file, right? Some client will be offering me a download API, right? What I will do, my server will see ki bhai okay, there is at least one file which is being present on the port which this user has entered who wants to download the file. So what I will do, I will go to filesharer thing, I will start a thread and I will open a socket and will I will send that file. So socket opening will happen from here. So eventually it looks like this client is opening a socket from download handler, but filesharer will be the one who will be opening a socket, right? So it will open a socket on that port, on the same port where user is trying to access our file. So let's print some logs. Serving file, new file path. So new file path, file is coming from nothing but Java inbuilt package, and .get name will do what it will do. It will first open the file whichever is associated with this port, and then it will try to get the file name, right? And then let's print on port, right? So file is being served on this port, and after that socket client socket is equal to server socket dot accept. So I've opened the socket on the port, right? Server socket is opened, and a client socket is only opened whenever I am able to accept that socket, right? So that's how client server works in socket programming. And what I will print here, client connection, client socket dot get address, that I will print, and then I will start a thread. What I am doing here is, so as soon as someone asked me to download from this port on my client, what my client will do, my client will go to server, right? It will go to my download handler, it will check, my download handler will get the headers, it will parse all the things like headers, whatever the file name it is required, everything. Then it will come to filesharer, right? My server will come to filesharer here. Then my filesharer will see, okay, this port is being offered, right? And at least one file is present on this port. Cool. Then what it will do, it will open a socket, right? It will open a socket, right? As soon as it will open a socket, this my server, right? My server, whenever it wants to hand over my file content, it will try to check ki bhai okay, at least socket is opened. Then my server will say ki bhai ye lo apni file to my client, right? How is it saying? It will through the file sharer, it will open a thread, because file sharer is the centralized place where all the client requests will come. If again one client is coming and he is requesting a file on a different port, it will again come to file sharer. So every file sharing should happen through a different thread, right? So अगर 10 client आते हैं, 10 thread I have to open parallelly so that all these file sharing can happen, right? अरे यार, हाँ, right? So different threads you have to open so that your file sharer is a centralized place. It can't handle multiple file sharing requests. It has to open multiple threads, right? So that's why you have to say new file sender handler, that I will create soon, don't worry. It will hand over the client socket, it will hand over the file path. And after creating a thread, you can just click on start. It will start the thread in background or whatever my CPU is giving, right? whenever my CPU is scheduling that thread, it will start the thread. System error handling file server on port. Okay, so this is a complete thing, right? So I will create a file sender handler class here only, but the thing is that this file handler sender handler class should implement something called runnable, because I am starting a thread, and thread, if you'll go inside control click on thread, you will see ki bhai, there is at least one constructor which is getting a runnable task. So runnable is an interface in Java that you create, right? And this is how you have to create. This is a functional interface, so implements runnable, and inside runnable, if you'll go, it has only one method, void run, and it is an interface. So to compiler, it will say ki bhai, this is the interface he is using, right? This is the interface that he is using, which is runnable, and you can use this interface inside thread. Why? Because that is how compiler works. It makes sure that runnable always get run method implemented, right? So I have to override this method, right? And as soon as I will override this method, you will see no exception is there, right? Because I am now completely I can do anything inside this thread. So what will happen, this class will be not a class but a runnable, which my thread will invoke, right? My thread will start. As soon as it will click on start, it will make sure that this run method is executed instantly, right? So I'll make some things, which is client socket private final string file path. Okay, let's make a constructor, because whenever I am calling this class runnable, I have to make sure I am passing a file path and the client socket also. Don't worry, I'll come to that how these client sockets are being opened, but let me first code this thing. Client socket and file path is being passed, and I will set my client socket and file path. Cool. So I've set my client socket and file path whenever someone calls me, and you can see that exception is gone. So now inside run method, you have to make sure that you are using this socket, and you are uploading your file, whatever is being whatever file you have to upload, right? So here you will use streams. In Java, every input output happens through a stream. Even socket is a stream. So for that, you need to get file input stream, and FIS is equals to new file input stream and file path. So using this stream, you will first read the file, and then after reading the file, you will send this file to a socket which is being opened, right, on a port. So what you will do, output stream. So a client socket is opened, and that client socket open only. Okay, so what you will do here is that you will get output stream, right? And output stream you will get through client socket. So basically sockets have two kind of streams, input stream and output stream. So whenever your socket is opened, right, you have an input stream and output stream. So input stream is nothing but whatever coming through the socket to accept that, and output stream is nothing but whatever you want to send to the socket, right? So a client socket is open, someone is trying to download a file, I have to send something. So that's why I am opening up a outside output stream, right? String file name is equals to okay. So I was getting an error, get output stream doesn't accept any argument, so that was the error. So file name I have to get through the file path, right? Through the file path I'll get, so if the path is like this, so file name is test.txt, that's what I'm trying to get at this point, right? So now you have to make sure that I have already told you that you have to send some headers, right? You have to send some headers. Yeah, So whenever you are sending something, you have to send some headers like file name and all from server to the client, so that on client side he can get the file name and then download. So basically on the client side, you have seen that whenever we are downloading, we are making up a link, right? To make up that link, we need a file name. Otherwise that default file name will be used. Let me go again there. Yeah, whenever you are handling a download and you are making up a link, you are using download file as a default name, and then you are trying to get a header, a file name through a header, right? So that's what, while sending data to a client socket, I have to make sure that I am sending a header. File name plus file name \n is a new line, right? So this is a header that I want to write. os.write header.get bytes. So this is the raw data that I'm sending over to the output stream, right? So this is the raw data that I'm sending to the output stream of socket, right? So this is socket, I am sending a raw data, and the data first header I have sent, which is nothing but a file name like this, something, whatever file I am sending over to that port, right? Over that socket, right? So after that, right, let's do one thing. Byte array, we have to make a buffer is equals to new byte 40. So this is a completely standard 1024 2048 4096. These are the standard to make buffers. So now I have made a byte array, right? And what I will do, I will do byte read. So now I will reading something from the client socket. So while byte read is equals to not from the socket but from the file, right? I have to read all the content of the file and send that content over to the client socket. So file dot read into buffer, right? And if it is not equal to -1, what it tells us is that as soon as you are reading fis.read buffer, and if your file content is done, like you have read 4096 bytes first, then again 4096, then again, as soon as your file reading is done, you will get -1, right? So as long as you are not getting -1, keep on reading. So that's what it meant. So bytes read fis.read, and here it will come like this. Okay, is not equal to -1. What we will do, oos output stream dot write, you will write the buffer, right? And offset is 0. So first you will start from 0. You will read 4096 bytes. You will send those 4096 bytes to the output stream of socket, right? And then after sending, you will also send the byte read, means the length that you have read and sent. Then you will make sure that you are doing this again and again. So if you'll go here, and you will see write is nothing but you are writing a byte array of offset and length, right? We are not incrementing the offset here because we are assuming that the file is under 4096 bytes, right? So but you can do like this, offset, you can make offset here, or there is byte read also, right? So whenever you are byte reading 4096, your byte read will already be 4096, right? So that's what your length is, and next time your offset should be bytes read actually, right? But we are assuming that the maximum file you can share is 4096 bytes, right? So as soon as you have wrote that file, you can say that file plus file name sent to which client socket dot get inet address. Okay, this client has successfully got the file, right? And if due to any case like socket is not able to open or something, we have to print error, which is error while sending file to the client. And you can even print the error e.get message, okay, whatever the error is. And after each block you want to run with one thing, which is you want to close the socket, client socket close, right? And if you are not able to close the socket, make sure you are saying कि भाई error closing socket and print error message. So this is our file sharer class is. So whenever someone wants to send any file over the network to some client, he will make sure that client socket is opened right on that port, because someone, if he will come, he will say ki by this port I want to download file from. Then my client will make sure that it goes to download handler, and my server will make sure that file sharer is there. So in file sharer, what I am doing is I am opening up the client socket, and I will make sure that my file path is getting used from the port, whatever port is stored here, available files. So whatever port our client is asking, I am using that port, I am getting the file path, and then I getting that file path, I am offering that file on some port. And as soon as someone is ready to download a file, he will start a file server, and that file server will make sure that I am sending all the bytes through a different thread to that API. Now I am directly saying that key whenever someone clients comes here, download and file name I will give, and client, I am directly opening a socket to from files sharer to client. But the thing is eventually this is the case, but whenever I am opening the socket, what I am doing is I am using a socket so that in different thread I can operate. So I am opening up a different thread as soon as some file is ready to upload from a server and being downloaded from a client. So as soon as a file is ready to being uploaded from server towards client, I open up a thread, right? Now actually these sockets will be opened, these sockets are opened so that I can handle multiple files, upload, download things. And these sockets are opened between these file sharer and server only. How? I'll come to that. Again and again I am saying that these sockets are open from file sharer to client, but actually my server, as soon as it's getting a download request, it is saying file server ki bhai please open a socket on different thread and use that socket to give data to me, right? So whatever client we were saying, it is actually a data transfer from file sharer component to my server only. So समझ रहे हो कि इस component के अंदर अगर आप जाओ, इस component के अंदर जाओ, इसमें ये client है, ये server है. So whenever someone is asking my server to give me a file from that port, my server is saying okay let me open up a thread, and it is using a file sharer. So जो भी मैं socket open कर रहा हूँ, whatever socket I am opening a socket so that I can transfer data from a different thread to my server की API के through, जो भी data मुझे pass करना है, right? File name headers में pass कर रहे हैं data. So whatever eventually what I am doing is कि file sharer is directly sending the data to client, but actually it is happening through the server because server is getting multiple requests. Server is getting multiple requests. ठीक है, multiple requests, and server is making sure it is using something called file sharer, and file sharer is responsible of track, making a track what files are active on which port. Right, and it will like server is already asking कि भाई इस port पे जो file है please serve it. File sharer is responsible of opening a socket on different thread. Thread 1 for file 1, thread 2 for file 2, thread 3 for file 3. ठीक है. So now these threads are responsible of opening the sockets, and they are whatever server is sending to my client. These sockets are nothing but they are sending the data, and then server is sending the data towards my client. So this is actually what is happening. So that's why I was saying ki bhai architecture is complex. So that's why earlier I was not going directly into these things. Now as long as we are building like step by step, I am going into them. Okay, so this is our file sharer. So let's go and make a controller, which is our main thing, right? This is our main topic of today's project. So file controller, what it will be using, it will has a relationship with private final file sharer. ठीक है. The second thing is it will have final HTTP server. So HTTP server is an inbuilt server that we will be using. We will not be using any framework server. It will come here, and then we'll be using private final string upload directory, whatever the directory we will be using, so that whenever client is uploading a file, to a server will use that file, store somewhere on a temporary directory, upload directory, and then it will use that directory to serve that file to someone else, right? Then final thing is private final executor service. So what is happening here is, as I've already told you, that file sharer is sending data by opening different sockets on different threads, right? Opening different sockets on different thread, and server is sending data. Now server also must be getting few client requests, right? Client 1 saying by 200 port पे file दे दो, client 2 is saying by 202 पे जो है वो file दे दो, client 3 is saying 203 पे जो file है दे दो. So all these clients request response it has to handle. So it is using an executor service. Executor service is nothing but it has multiple threads already available. So on server side also I have different threads. So each request is handled through a different thread, right? Thread 1 पे request आएगी, executor service will execute. Thread 2 पे request आएगी, and thread 3 पे आएगी, right? So executor service will be the one who will be getting all the requests. Then executor service, which is server only, will be, asking file sharer. This is also asking file sharer. This is also asking file sharer. Now this file sharer is responsible of opening different sockets, and through that sockets passing the data towards our threads. So this is what is happening here. Public file controller, and let's mark it with a marked exception, throws IO exception. And in this, I will just set all the things. File sharer, this dot server is equals to http server dot create, and I will create a server on an address, new inet socket address, on which address I will open normal local address, localhost, and the port I will be using here will be given by the person who is calling my file controller. So whoever is calling my file controller, it will be using that, and queue I am using 0. Okay, okay, cool. So this dot upload directory is equals to system dot get property. So we'll use something called a temp directory, which is a directory used to put files, and as soon as your file streams are closed, they will be deleted. So we'll use input java.io temp directory. It is by default a temp directory. That then what we'll do is file.separator. So you have opened a folder which is temp directory, then file.separator, then dot plus peer link uploads. So this is what you will call a directory. You will make a directory inside your temp directory, right? Then this dot executor service also you have to make sure that it is initialized. Dot new fixed threshold. Okay, executors dot new fixed thread pool. So threads I am taking as 10, right? At a time 10 clients I can handle in parallel, right, with context switch. So then what I will do is I'll try to open this directory, right? If the directory is not created, I will create this directory. So using the path that I have already defined above, upload directory file dot exist. If it does not exist, right, then I will try to do one thing, upload directory file dot make dirs or dir, right? It will make all the folders which we want to make. Cool. Then we'll create some endpoints to our server. Create context. So first context we want to create is upload. Okay, new upload handler. We have to create this, but new upload handler. Let's create this upload handler. Okay, and then create context. We'll create download handler. So this is what we'll create as a download handler. And the next thing is a normal path, right? Empty path. This we'll use as our health API. Like whenever you are uploading, or sorry, whenever you are deploying your server, you have to make sure at least one API like this, at least one endpoint like this exists, so that whenever you are deploying, it knows by whenever your task is healthy, it knows, right? New course handler. And this course handler, why we are defining is because let's suppose your service is residing on one server, and your server is residing on another server. Client is on one server, which is our front end, and your server is on another server, which is your backend. So they are residing on different machines. If I want to exchange the data between these different machines, they are cross origin, right? So if I want to make sure that they are able to communicate among themselves, I have to make sure that I allow everyone, or I allow some IP address to connect on my server, right? And I don't want to allow everyone, let's say. So for that, you have to make a course handler, cross origin request something, right? Iska full form hai server dot set executor, right? So this server will use my thread pool, which is my 10 thread pool. So whatever my server is, it will use this thread pool. So server dot set this thread pool, whatever I have created here, right? This. Cool. So this is our file controller or constructor. So then we will have public void start, right? It will do nothing but server dot start, and we'll print okay. So we'll start a server, right? And whatever port we have started the server, we'll say that server dot get started, and port I think we have already mentioned here, right? Cool. So then you have public void stop also, server dot stop, and while stop you don't want to delay it, and executor service also you have to close, right? Shut down, and you have to print API server stopped or whatever, right? Cool. Then private class course handler we have to make, and it will, whatever handler we are making, like download slash upload, all those things are handler. So we have to make sure that we are extending HTTP handler. So this will tell the compiler that by these are the endpoints that you have to map to, right? That you have to, like, this is the endpoint. Compiler will check HTTP handler, okay, interface HTTP handler, and this is also one of the interface which has this method that we have to implement, because if we are implementing any interface, that you have whatever methods interface has, you have to implement those methods. So this handler, it is saying that by compiler, I am the handler, please map me to this. Whenever we'll make download handler, we'll make sure that it is implementing HTTP handler, right? So this is a practice. So you have to override stuff. You have to override public void handle. Now HTTP exchange is another class which is which always, so as soon as this endpoint will be hit through any client, your exchange will have all the headers, data, whatever is coming through the HTTP, right? So this exchange, if you'll go inside, you will get to know that it has request headers, response headers, URL, all these methods, right? So let's extract some headers first, and it will throw IO exception. So you can catch the exception inside, right? You can like put try catch here and catch exception here only. But a common practice is, if you are using any functionality, make sure you are propagating your error. So my error, if it comes here, will be IO exception. I am propagating my error to whoever is calling handle function. So whoever is calling handle function, he will get error. He will have to try or catch or send that error back to client, right? This is a common practice, like throw error if you don't want to handle inside that function only. Cool. So exchange.get response headers. So request headers and response headers are the ones that you have to put. So course handler is nothing but whenever someone is requesting me, I want to make sure that that client is passed through my course handler, right? So that I can set some headers which will make sure that any client can connect to my server. Add access control allow region, and this is a key value pair, and star means allow from anyone. ठीक है. Second header that you have to make sure so that any client can connect to your server is access control allow methods, and you want to allow get post options method, right? And third thing is headers, which headers you want to allow, and you want to allow content type, let's suppose authorization, though it is not important, but I have put there, right? Okay, so if exchange dot get request method, right? So I'm checking if it is dot equal ignore case, means if it is a case sensitive or not, I don't care. And if it is options, right? If it is option, then I am saying exchange dot send response headers 204 code and -1 response length, right? And return from here only, and you will see भाई क्या होता है 204 HTTP code, no content, right? So if someone is saying, if someone is making a request like options, then don't do anything. Otherwise response is equal to not found, response headers 404 response dot get bytes dot length. So what I'm saying is, if course handler is always applicable on options. If it is well and good, 204 is okay. If it is not response, if it is not request method is not options, it is get post, then get post methods should not be handled by this course handler, right? So get post methods should be handled by someone else. So that's why if it is that, and if it is still coming to course handler, we'll make sure that it is not being handed over to course handler. If it is, then just try to make sure that you return that it is not found, method is not found, right? So try So some of you might wonder that why try is there even if we are not putting any catch block. And even if we are not putting any catch block, due to any exception, if it will occur here, it will be propagated, because we are saying that this method can throw IO exception. This method can throw IO exception, right? So we have to propagate the exception. We can't catch exception here, because we want to propagate the exception to someone who is calling this method, right? He can accept that कि भाई IO exception आ सकता है. So that's why we are making checked exception method. Cool. So try is there because whenever you use try with us opening something like file stream, socket, output stream, whatever, you have to close that, right? You have to close that. close. If you are using that with try, it will already, whenever this block is rendered, whenever this block is executed, close will automatically called. So that's your course handler is. Then next two handlers are download handler and upload handler, which are more important. Okay, so the three components which are our core components are download handler, upload handler, multiparser, right? So we have already coded filesharer, which is responsible for opening client sockets, right, and passing the data over the socket. That's it, right? So let's code private class upload handler. Now this is a handler, so it has to implement HTTP handler, and override, it has to override method public void handle and it will handle HTTP exchange, and it can throw IO exception. Cool. So first of all, again, same thing that we did in course, right? So we'll get response headers so that whenever we are able to accept the file, so client is uploading a file to server, whenever I am able to get the file from the client, I will send some headers and response. So for that, exchange.get response headers, right? And header dot put add, and the headers dot add you have to add is access. This you have to add so that your server and client can communicate fine. Okay, so this is the first thing that you have to always do, right? So after adding the headers, we are again similar thing, exchange dot get request method, right? And if the get request method equal ignore case, if it is not equal to post, right? If it is not equal to post, then I will fast fail, right? What I will do, I will directly send response and I will say कि भाई अगर upload करना है तो only post method is allowed, right? Method not allowed. Method not allowed. Exchange dot send response headers 405. is method not allowed, ठीक है? And then what we'll do is we'll again try to open output stream, get response body, and we'll try to write into this stream, and that stream will write is request write response dot get bytes, ठीक है? As soon as we are done with this, we'll return from here because the method itself is not allowed, so we'll not go further. If method is post, then we'll go ahead, right? We'll get headers here. So we'll get request headers, whatever the headers are coming from client, right? Exchange dot get request headers, and string content type, ठीक है? Request headers dot get first. I will search for content type from request headers, right? Whoever the first occurrence of content type is, I will get that, and after getting that, I will check if the content type that client is asking is form data or not, right? So I will check if content type is या तो null है, or if it is not, content type is equal ignore case. If it is, or let's suppose content type dot starts with, right? Starts with multi part form data, because from the client you might have seen that whenever we are requesting for a file or whenever we are downloading a file, we are passing certain headers, right? And whenever we are uploading a file from client to server, we are passing a content type header as multi-part form data. If it is not that, what we will do, we'll just send response back by response bad request, content type must be multi part form data. This response we have to send back, right? How to send that back is, and again let's set send response headers 400 means by not found. 404 is not found, but 4xx is also an error, right? Response dot get bytes, dot length, and again you have to open what you have to open, output stream. Output stream is equals to exchange dot get response body, and just you can write here that by whatever you are doing, just do that, right? Write response dot get bytes. Okay, so get bytes are being written into the response body through output stream of exchange. That's it. and after that just return. Okay, now if even if it's not post method, return. Even if content type is not this, return. If both of them are correct, if both of them are right, which we are expecting, then you can go ahead, right? Then just try catch exception ex, will handle it later. But whenever your method is correct, now you have to do parsing. Now is the main part, right? You have to do parsing of this. Okay, so what you have to do, you have checked ki bhai, if your content type is multiport form data, yes. If your HTTP method is post, yes. Now you have to parse this thing. So what you have to parse, you have to parse boundary. So you have to check the index of boundary wherever the boundary is equal to coming, right? And the characters are 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So I have to find where my boundary is, my raw data. After 9 characters, this is my boundary starting. So this is how data is structured whenever you are passing files through browser. So this is what I will try to fetch, and then new line, then new line, right? After this boundary, a new line. But this new line after this line, the new line is starting from the scratch, right? The first character that we identify as \r \n. So \r is nothing but a carriage return, which will make sure that you are in new line but starting from scratch here, and \n will make sure that you are in the new line. So \r is making sure that you are at the scratch, then \n is pushing you through the next line. So after boundary, these are the invisible characters that are there, right? Okay, so that we have to check first. Let's get boundary first. Content type dot substring. So content type we have added here, right? So content type, you will get boundary also inside content type. So dot substring, and substring we will try to find content dot index of, and index of you will try to find boundary is equals to. So the index of boundary is equal to will be mapped to here B. So index will be 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 etc here, plus 9 if you will do, you will come here, right? So boundary is equals to plus 9. Cool. So this is your starting of the boundary value, not boundary value. Then you will do byte array output stream, byte array output stream, right? Then you will do IO utils, which IO utils will come from Apache Commons, okay? And dot copy, you will try to copy something from the raw data into your byte array stream, right? Byte array stream is nothing but an array of bytes which can be acted as a stream. Means you can close this, you can read from this as a stream characters like input stream, output stream, file stream, right? That is it. Exchange get request body, whatever the body I am getting into my request, and I want to copy from exchange to my byte array output stream, because whatever I am getting in my whatever the raw data I am getting in as a bytes only. So then make a byte array request data is equals to BAOS dot to byte array. We are done. We have converted raw data to byte array, which Java understands. Now we will use multiparser. Now we will parse whatever raw data we got. Parser is equals to new multiparser. We'll give it request data and we'll get is a boundary. Ki bhai, this is the request data and whatever the boundary I have, this is a boundary. Okay? Cool. So let's make a multiparser now, and multiparser is the reason why I have not used any Spring Boot or any framework. Why? Because I want to show you by after so much debugging I have I have implemented multiparser. Class multiparser. Why static? Because this is just a class, right, which will be used directly without creating any object. That's why it is static. Private final byte array and data, local variable, private final string boundary boundry, ठीक है. Then constructor as always public multiparser, it will accept byte whatever request data we are sending, right? And then it will accept boundary. Cool. So after getting this, we have to set this boundary. Cool. After setting this, you are sure that you have the boundary and data, right? Now what you have to do, you just have to parse. So public parse result, this object I will create parse result. Don't worry, before that let's create only public. I am coding in one class only, right? All the things I am doing in one class, but that you should not do. Parse result is a plain Java object which will have, it's my own data type, right? It's not a string, it's my own data type I'm trying to create. And parse object once created will not be able to change because I am using whatever I am using the fields as final. So once parse result fields are set, whatever data, no one can tamper that data, right? So file name, after parsing I will get the file name from the data. So client is uploading some file, I want to get the file name from this raw data. Then the next thing I want to get is file content. That is all we want, right? Whenever someone is uploading a file, I want file name, whatever someone uploaded. I want to get the file content, whatever is inside the file, right? I will use that content and I will create a file so that I can serve that file on some port and some client can download that file, right? So that's an idea. Public parse result, file name, file content, right? So this is the object that I will use, right, to pass data around. So let's parse the data, pass the raw data, actually I should say. Try and catch, will handle this catch later, but let's use try block first. Okay, so string data as string is equals to new string data. So whatever in my multiparser data I have set here, right, that is byte array. Now I want to create that into string. So make sure then whenever you are passing a video file, right, whenever you are sharing a video, that this new string data will be using some encoding. So this data is pure raw data of bytes. So whenever you are doing new string, this new string will use some encoding to convert this data to string. So now whatever I am doing, it will, the P2P sharing app will work for PDF, TXT, JSON, CSV, because all of them can be converted to string. But for videos, you have to make sure you use this kind of thing, generic objects, right? But that will include as a project extension feature. File name marker is equals to, this is what we will pass from front end, right? File name, okay, equals to, cool, and the file name will always start from like this. See, file name equals to your quote, file name, then again quote. But here you want to check a quote, so you can't make it like this. You can't enter double quotes here, right? For that you have to use backslash, because quote is a reserved symbol in language. So we have to use backslash ki bhai, I meant actually quote, right? I meant actual quote. So that's what you have to do here. So then int file name start is equals to data as string, right? Whatever data as string is, we'll try to find index of this thing, this one, right? So this is a file name and sorry, not start. Okay, and file name start will check here is int file name start is equals to data as string, right, dot index of file name marker. So it will find this file name, this thing, right, and index it will return is, or over all the row data it will return this index, and after that I have to pick this until second colon. So that's the file name starting its marker. Okay, file name start we got, and if file name start, okay, is equals to -1, means we are not able to find any index which has file name inside it, which means file name is not even being passed from front end. We will send null. If it is there, then we, after getting file start, we'll try to find file name end. So we'll get file name end like this, right? Then now you will be able to get the file name data as string, right? Data as string dot string name file name end. This is wrong because I have to start from this thing, right? After file name start, whatever the index of file name start, which is this, I want to find the next quote, right? So the next quote you have to start file name start, you have to make sure you are passing. So after this quote, after file name start index, whatever we have find, you have to find the second quote. That is the goal here. Cool. So file name substring उठा लो, अब तो बहुत common है, start end, right? This is your file name. Now you got the file name that your client is trying to upload. Then now you just have to content type marker is equals to, now let's try to find content type. This is present in the row data, right? Content type only. So after getting content type marker, you have to make sure int content type start data as string dot index of, right, index of \r\n, and this \r\n we will try to find content type end, not content type start. First you have to find content type start data as string dot index of and content type marker. Content type marker we have already defined somewhere here, content type, and content type marker जहाँ पे भी आपको मिलता है this, right, you are trying to find the start, that is content type marker. That's it, right? So you are trying to find this actually, content type text plain, right, this thing. So this we have already dealt with, content type form data boundary. Now we are trying to find ki bhai this is the file name, right? You have dealt with this file name. Now after that you are trying to find content type text plain. So that's why content type start will be content type marker, which is content type only. So index of content type after colon, after file name end, whatever file name end, our index of file name end is here. So after this try to find out the content type first occurrence. So this is the first occurrence, and then this is the content type start, right? Now you will say ki bhai if content type start is not equal to -1, which means you have found content type start. So you will do content type start plus equals to content type marker dot length. So now whatever the start will be, start plus length, you will do content type plus length. So you will arrive this at this index t pe, right? And now you want to find the content type text plain ka end. So for that you will do content type end data as string index of \r\n content type start. So what it is saying is ki now this is the, sorry, right? Now this is the, what is it? This is a line, right? The next line is, and next line start is \r, and next line is \n. So this content type, whatever is, it will end with \r/n. And what it is saying is that first of all, try to find content type :space after file name ka index. So this is the first occurrence. This is the content type ka starting. Then it is saying starting से लेके try to find \r/n की first occurrence. So this is it. So t is the start and \n की occurrence is n. So this is what end content type end is. Now you will get content type. So content type is equals to by default, if someone is not passing, this will be this like octet string, right? But if it is being passed, I will set that only dot substring content type start and content type end. Cool hai? Now you will do header and marker. Now we have found our file name, we have found our content type, right? We have found our file name using substring index of, and we have found content type, right? Now is the time to find out the data. ठीक है, int header and is equals to date as string index of header and marker, and int if header is not equal to equal to -1, then return null. So basically we are trying to find where are headers ending, right? So this is what \r/n, and here also \r/n, right? And we are trying to find the headers ending part. Cool hai? Header end, wherever the headers are ending, plus header end marker dot length. So content is starting after this. Okay, so content is starting \r/n, which will push. So this is \r, right? This is the line. \r will push to the scratch, right? To the push your pointer to the 0th index, and then \n here. Then \r push 0 and \n here, right? So \r/n 2 times. Make it is a protocol, right, in HTTP, which tells us that headers are over. So headers are over at this point. Headers are over. Now your content will come. Content and then boundary, right? Content and then boundary. We have extracted boundary, if you know. So content start will be header end, whatever the header end was. ठीक है, header end is nothing but this thing \r/n का ये आपको दिखेगा नहीं, you will not be able to see the string, but in raw data it is already there, right? So ये जहाँ पे ख़त्म हुआ, then the length, right? So \r/n is nothing but this space, whatever is there, right? So this space \r/n will give me the occurrence to this thing, to the first thing. Then plus length will make sure my pointer to content. Just go on GPT and ask. It is complex, I know. Parsing is very complex, but it has to, you have to spend some time on. It is not like someone can't spoon feed you very basically, right? So content start I have got, then byte, and then boundary. Bytes is equals to, so now again boundary is whatever your content is \r/n here, and then your boundary will come. So \r/n, I can't do anything. This is what it is, right? That's how boundary is passed. So then again plus get bytes, right? Boundary bytes. So I have converted boundary into bytes, and then I will do content and find sequence. We have to make a function. Okay, so find sequence will get data, whatever data we have, right? The byte data, the row data, and then we have a row boundary bytes. We want to check where the boundary is from the overall data. Okay, from the overall data we want to check where the boundary is from the overall data. So data is also row, boundary bytes is also row, that we have to find out using a function called find sequence. Okay, so that's where your content will end. Byte array, from the data you want to find this sequence, right? So outer for int I is equals to start position. Let's give it a start position also. I is less than equal to data dot length, right, minus sequence dot length. So you have to go, you have to go till the data length minus subtract the sequence, right? So sequence here is this. So you want to go from the scratch to here. Cool hai? Okay, and I plus plus. So I will check key for int j is equals to 0, j less than sequence dot length, and I will try to find j plus plus. Okay, and then okay, so what I am doing here is that so you will start from every character and you will go till the sequence length character. Let's suppose you have an essay, and from the essay you want to find a word called book in that essay, and that word starting from 0th position only, right? So you will go through all the pages of the book and you will check the page, the word book should be in the essay, right? Book word has BOOK, 4 characters. So you will go to the 0th character, right? And you will check each and every character of sequence, and if you will check if those bytes are matching or not. That's all. That is it, right? And this outer thing, please don't get confused. This is nothing but a recursive way of writing. You can just also do that कि भाई data में जाना है ना, कहाँ से start करना है और sequence उसमें ढूंढना है. That is the normal function. It is just complex way of writing it. ठीक है? So now I can call my find sequence method, and let's start from content start. Okay, so your content is starting from here, right? And you want to from here onwards you want to find from overall data, you want to start from here, content start, and you want to find this boundary. That is the whole purpose of this thing. Content start is integer only, data is bytes, boundary bytes is byte. What is wrong? Oh, non-static. Cool. ठीक है? So this is how you will find by content end. तो यहाँ से start हुआ, आपने बाउंड्री ढूंढ ली, बाउंड्री का इंडेक्स क्या है, ये वाला इंडेक्स आपको मिल जाएगा, एंड यू विल बी एबल टू फाइंड कि भाई यहाँ से स्टार्ट हुआ था, यहाँ पे एंड हुआ है. तो कंटेंट इज नथिंग बट स्टार्ट, कंटेंट स्टार्ट एंड बाउंड्री जो आपने फाइंड सीक्वेंस किया उसका एंड. ठीक है? सो दिस इज हाउ यू विल बी एबल टू फाइंड द फाइल डेटा. सो हियर अगेन just normally if else, if you are not able to find any boundary, right, just boundary bytes is equals to so one format is that you have a boundary and you don't have two slashes, two what do you say, two hyphens at the end. That could also be the case. So either this could be the boundary or this could be the boundary, right? So either two slashes can be appended at the end, whatever boundary you have found it here, right? Or two slashes are not there. If we are not able to find out, then let's find out without two slashes at the end. And content end is equals to find sequence, and here you have to say data boundary bytes, and then content start. Okay, ठीक है. Now int content start, not content start, if content end is equals to -1, still you are not able to find out ki bhai where your content is ending. So then, or there is or also, right? If your content end is less than, so these are just edge cases, that either your content end is less than content end due to any mistake that we might have done, right? Or it is even -1, right? So in that case we can't do anything. If you are able to find content end, right, now we can get our file content from the raw data, new byte. Okay, content end minus content start should be the length of this file content byte array, and system dot array copy, I have to do array copy from data content start content end and into file content. ठीक है. So this is what we have to do, and file content from 0 to लेके file content dot length. Okay, data, we have to copy data content start. Okay, content end देने की जरूरत नहीं है. Content start, where to start, where to copy, where to end. That also fine, right? Okay, so as soon as you have copied the data, you have to return parse result, and parse result you have to just type file name कि भाई you have passed the result successfully. You are creating a pass result object with file name and whatever you have generated file content, and that is it, right? Or let's also make here public final string content type. Content type also we have to make sure that what content type is being copied. Content type is nothing but your this thing. So you have copied content type, you have copied content, and you have copied file name. So this is our parser. Like we have spent so much time in parsing the HTTP parser only, but people who are watching the video till this point, you can even write your own HTTP parser for JSON HTTP GET POST requests. That's why I have done this, so that people who are in our live cohort, they should at least go into the details ki bhai how to write a parser. Here you can print anything like error, parsing, multi-part data, and get message. ठीक है, return null. Okay, so this is what our parse function will look like. Let's get back to our upload handler, and we will get multiparser dot parse result. Multiparser dot parse result is okay, cool. So actually parse result and everything should be inside multiparser. ठीक है. Okay, multiparser has parse result, and parse result class is also present in multiparser only. Cool है. So what I will do, multiparse dot parse result, parser dot parse. Now when you are doing parser dot parse, you are doing nothing but you are, so what exactly is happening? So you are creating upload handler which will be called by the client, and first you will do two validation. If your method is allowed, yes. If your content type is valid, yes. Then you will try your HTTP parser, and HTTP parser you are passing boundary and the raw data, and then parser is giving you the file name, file content, and file content, right? That we only care about. So upload handler, after getting the result, what it will do, it will check by if result is equals to null. If it is not able to get the result, because if you will see and go inside the parse function, we return null and most of the times when we are not able to do something, right? So whenever some error or something happens, then what we'll do, if we are not able to get the result, then we'll do bad request could not parse file content. Okay, so this is your response that you have to return, right? Now this response you have to write to the output stream. So if result is equal to none, exchange dot send response headers. Now response headers you want to send is 4xs error, and response dot get bytes dot length. This is, I think आपको पता ही होगा, we are doing it again and again, right? Output stream exchange dot get response body, and after getting output stream we'll write in output stream that whatever we want to get send our bytes, and after that return. But if result is not null, right, then we can get file name, yes or no, result dot file name, and then we can again, if file is equals to okay, so what we are doing here is file name, right? If file name dot trim dot is empty, we are getting, right? What we'll do is, if we are not able to get file name, what we'll do, we'll make file name as default unnamed file, and when we'll execute this code, I don't know, we might get unnamed file, okay, because we are not able to read the file name. So let's suppose we are not able to read the file name. Anyways, we'll get file name unnamed, unique file name is equals to uuid dot random uuid dot toString, right? Plus, because if already this unnamed file is there, we have to make sure that random uuid or random string you have to append so that your new file can be created. File name dot get name. Cool, eh? So this is a unique file name that you have to create if you are not able to find the file name. Then file path is equals to upload directory, which is our temp directory we have defined above, file dot separator plus unique file name. Okay, so upload directory, whatever folder, and then slash, and then whatever file name is. So we got our file name. Now we'll try to open the file name, file output stream, because as soon as client uploaded a file, he has to basically write into the file. So file output stream fos is equals to new file output stream, and file output stream we want to open at file path. Okay, if we are able to get file stream, then just write whatever we got from result dot file content. If we are not able to write, fine, we'll move ahead. Now we got the file, we have wrote that file into our file system temporary directory, and our server, wherever it is residing, will save that file into its temporary directory. Now I will make sure that file sharer is the one who is responsible for sharing the files. Now I want my file sharer to open a port and make sure that this file is available on that port. So in client, if any client comes and wants to get that file from that port, file sharer will be the one who will open a socket and directly transfer that file to the client, right? File sharer dot offer file. Okay, now offering a file, I have to give a path, right? Now offer file accept a path, it generates a port. If it able to get a port, it will save that file ka port and file path, right? And in future if any client comes, this file sharer knows ki bhai which port is opened and where this file is, because I'm giving the absolute path to the file sharer thing, right? Now this port file sharer, after offering a file, if it is able to generate a successful port, it will return the port, right? So if I'm able to return the port, so whoever is trying to upload a file, I will give him the port, right? I will give him the port so that it will get printed here after uploading a file. So after uploading a file, port is generated. So I will try to first I will start file sharer ka server, start file server on the port, start file server, ठीक है? So after passing a file, I have created a server, right? I have created a server in a thread, right? So start file server will do nothing but it will start a socket on that port, so that if any client comes on that port, it will open a client socket and it will, in a new thread, it will send the file content. Okay, that is an idea, but I have to send this port back so that JSON response is equals to, okay, so this is how you stringify JSON. Online you can search stringify JSON, right? So I have stringified the response that I want to send. So what response I want to send here is \port \. So / is used whenever I want to use colon in my data, right? This is a reserved word, so that's why / is making sure that this in string, in this whole string, include these colons. So for that I want a escape \. Okay, so port I want to first use, and port here I will do port. Okay, after entering the port, inside my JSON response, whatever my client will get, I will close this JSON. So I have included 2 colons to make sure that my JSON response looks like this port, right? So inside string I can't do this, right? Double colon you can't do this. So that for that you have to use \. The port is there, and port I have sent in my JSON response, so that in client port can be printed here, and I can WhatsApp my friend that use this number to receive a file. Cool hai? So headers dot add content type. Cool hai? Now here we are sending application JSON. We are not sending any plain text or any blob object, we are sending JSON. So exchange dot send response headers and 200 JSON response dot get bytes dot length. So first you have to send the length of the response, and then you have to send through the output stream get response body and oos.write JSON response dot get bytes. Okay, so that's what we will do, and in a catch exception you can simply do this as system error processing, error processing file upload, and you can even print message of exception, and then after that you can do string response is equals to server error. In plain HTTP you always have to use exchanges like this, you always have to use. Okay, then exchange dot get response set response send response headers, server is not responding, response dot get bytes dot length, right? And try output stream and exchange dot get response body and inside this you have to send response.getBytes, and then you have to return. I mean in catch it's already returned, but okay. So this is the download handler. So sorry, upload handler. What we have done is we have validated if our request is correct, then we have extracted the boundary, we have invoked our parser gave us the file content and file name, then we have made that file name, saved that file name inside our folder, and then we have started a file sharer server, which is nothing but which will open a socket on a port and will offer a file till a client comes on that port, and a socket will be accepted, till a client comes and socket accepted. Till that point this socket will get opened on that port, right? Now let's say some client comes, right? Some clients come and he hits download handler. Now download handler has to make sure that file sharer is, with download handler it will pass the port okay, by which port someone has entered here and it wants to receive a file on that port, right? So it will hit that download handler. Now download handler we have to code ki bhai how after uploading a file I can use that file from my server, which is stored in my hard disk on my server, right? Which is stored in my SSD, and use that temporary folder in my SSD and give that file. So let's code our download handler next. Override public, okay, public void handle http exchange, that's it. Now your error should be removed, right? As we have already overridden our whatever you want to override, right? So that method is overridden, which is download handler. So now handle here we have to make sure. So headers again same thing. Till this point people who are still in the video, right, you must be getting a hang of it. Like we are fetching headers, we are validating the headers, then we are doing something and then we are sending response using streams. So this is the parsing thing, right? This is the actual how Spring Boot works under the hood. Exchange dot get response headers. So we'll go get headers, okay. Headers dot add. Now the first thing you have to add is access control allow origin allow from anywhere. Cool hai? Okay. If exchange dot get request method is not equal to equals ignore case. If it is not equal to get, means someone is requesting for a download file but is not using a get method, then we'll do ki by method not allowed, okay. And then again exchange dot send response headers response dot get bytes dot length, okay. And then try output stream new exchange dot get response body write and response dot get bytes OOS dot write bytes, okay. Exchange throws IO exception, okay. And what is it saying? Send response headers and code I'm missing for XX, any error code you can throw, and here you have to return. That's it. If this is not a get method, after that if it is a get method, then I just have to get the path exchange dot get request URL dot get path, because in the path someone will send the port, right? Download here port, whoever will my friend is receiving the file, he will enter the code and he will hit the client with download API. This endpoint he will hit API /download /port. So port I have to extract from the URL, okay. String port string is equals to path dot substring path dot last index of, and last index is \, and backslash का last index, and I will get the port. After last backslash I have the port only. Okay, and +1 because I don't want to include the backslash. Cool है. Let's write code for download handler. Int port is equals to integer. Our wrapper class has, you know, method parse int with string, so string is port, right? After getting the port, I will try to open the socket. This is the most complex thing that I was discussing about. You will try to open a socket. See, you'll try to open a socket from the file sharer. File sharer is a centralized repository who has all the files with history, and file sharer has sockets, all sockets opened. My server will act as a client when it is trying to download a file from file sharer. I hope it is clear. Make sure it is clear. Whenever your client, which is actually your website, is adding your port and sending download file, your download API will be, your download API will hit, and this API will get hit, and I will using that port to open a socket with my file sharer, which is a central repository, and this socket will give me the data, and this data I will send back to client. This is the socket programming to handle multiple clients, through file sharer repository. So inside let's open a socket. Now new socket, and I am opening a socket on the localhost because my file sharer is also on localhost, and I'm also on localhost, right? So what will happen? Go to file sharer. Here we have opened server socket. So my file sharer is acting as a server, and it will wait until someone comes and accepts a server socket, right? So someone comes and connects on this socket. Until then, this file sharer in different thread will keep open that socket. So that's the core idea of this whole project, and I know this project is very complex. That's why I'm explaining each and everything. So socket, as soon as socket is accepted, you will get input stream and output stream of socket. But here in our server, we want to get the things from file sharer, right? So file sharer input stream, socket input is equals to socket dot get input stream, and now we got the input stream and file. Now I again, whatever file is saved in my file through my file sharer file path it has, I will try to open that file as a temp file. File dot create temp file, right? Download this file. I will create, I will pass and then delete. Okay, pass to client, download. Okay, I'll create a temp file, then string file name is equals to downloaded file is the default name that I will take, and I will try to get the file name. Okay, try file output stream temp file, whatever I have created just now, a dummy file. I will try to copy all the content of the file which my file sharer has. Uploaded handler gave my file to file sharer. File sharer saved that file. Okay, and that file is saved in front of some port, and that port socket is opened. Now my download handler will make a socket connection to file sharer. It will make a dummy file, download handler dummy file banayega. It will get all the data from file sharer socket to dummy file, and this dummy file go to my client. This is how you are making it independent, right? And multiple connection, thing. Okay, buffer is equals to new byte array, and new byte array 4096 again. Maximum file we are supporting as 4096 bytes. Int byte read while byte array output stream. Okay, now byte array output stream and int b while, जब तक पूरी फाइल नहीं पढ़ सकते, socket while socket dot read. So socket.read is an input. Obviously socket input is an input stream. I am getting all the content from the file sharer. ठीक है, file sharer से जो भी आ रहा है I am reading that. Socket input into b is the number of bytes I have read. ठीक है, and if let me compare this. If it is not equal to -1 means I am still reading the files, and when it's -1 means file is completely read, right? If b is equals to \n break, so this is a very dummy thing, like as soon as I get new line I will break that thing, and I will read byte output stream as write b. ठीक है, after writing I will do header dot toString dot trim. Trim is just that to remove all the white space, like \r/n सब कुछ remove कर दो. It's just a common normal string. After trimming everything I will do header dot starts with. ठीक है, if header starts with file name, ठीक है, then I got the file name. So what I have done here is that I have temporary file created. ठीक है, I have opened one output stream so that I can write content from file sharer to this file, and then I will share this file over to my client. I've created one buffer, right? I'm created one header buffer, right? Header byte output stream, because I want to send, if you'll go here, I want to send file name plus data. So file name I want to send into the header. So what I have done here is that I have read the file, right? So whenever I am reading the file, let's go to file sharer. Okay, so whenever I am reading the file, I am passing file name plus file name and \n, right? So at the top of the data file name, it will be like this. Then next line. So that's what I am doing here. What I am doing, I am trying to find, until I get next line, I am trying to find what is the file name. I got the file name, and then after getting the file name, what I will do, okay, this is wrong, I think. If header dot starts with, if header starts with file name, right? File N capital small, cool, file name colon this. ठीक है, if header starts with this, I got the file name, which means I got the file name, right? File name is equals to header dot substring. ठीक है, file name dot length. So whatever file name dot length start from there, right? And get the string, get the overall string, whatever the string is. So get the hello.txt till the \n, right? It will get file name till this point. Cool. Now the next thing is, after getting this, I want to read all the file content. So bytes read that I have defined above is equals to socket input dot read, and I want to read inside the buffer, and I want to read till I don't get -1 as the output, because that means file is read successfully. Then file output stream dot write, as long as you are reading, keep on writing the file, right? Buffer offset is 0, and you want to read in one go as bytes read. And now people who want to handle files more than 4 KB, 4096, right? You have to make sure that after one read, you have to make sure offset plus equals to bytes read, byte read, right? Like you have read 4096 bytes, and you have to maintain offset here. Int offset is equals to 0. Offset is equals to, after reading 4096 bytes, you have to start next time 4097 से, right? So bytes read 4096 bytes read हुई हैं, तो index should be 4096 because 0 to 4095. Next time 4096 से start करना है, and again here you have to bytes dot erase, right? I think, I don't know the method, but you have to erase the bytes read array. So yeah, but as of now we are supporting 4 KB maximum file, so we'll try to do this. And after we have passed all the data, we'll add some headers so that our client can understand something. So first header we will make content disposition, that I will show you in, in client we are using this content disposition. So that first header we will use attachment, so that my client will know that there's some attachment is there and it has to download that attachment. Okay, and attachment I am doing file name, right, is equals to, I hope everyone knows why I have put backslash here, because I want to put colon. So double colon I can't put, so I have to escape the colon, right? Not colon, quote. Okay, so header में you have added file का नाम, then you have to add content type, application, octet stream. This is what it is. Okay, you can put text plain also, but octet stream is the one that is that is expected. So exchange dot add exchange dot send response headers, and you have successfully sent everything. So 200 with temp file length, whatever you have sent, you just have to send the length of that. I know कि अभी तक तो पता चल ही गया होगा सबको. Try to open output stream, get response body, and in response body you have to write the file. This time file input stream, so whatever file you have read from file sharer, you have saved that in temp file. Now this temp file you have to send in your response, right? So for that, what you have to do, again same thing, make a buffer, ठीक है, make a buffer and then int bytes read, then while read from file into buffer, and till keep on reading till you are not able to read the file anymore, then write into whatever response you want to write, your buffer 0 offset bytes read. Okay, okay, I've made one mistake, I think. Cool, this should come out of, we are done with file reading. Okay, we are done with file reading, this thing, we are done with file reading, and now we have to do this thing. Yeah, after file reading we end up here, and then we are using that file, reading from that file, putting everything in buffer and sending that buffer to outside of our server, which is client. So I am sending an attachment with a file name into the header, attachment file name and data in response, ठीक है. And after doing everything, I have to delete the file, right? So temp file dot delete. So temp file is deleted, everything is done. Catch exception, as error, not able to download the file. So this is what our download handler is, ठीक है. Either you can do this or you can send a response to the server also. System out error downloading the file, get message, string response. Do you want to send anything? Error downloading file. Spellings you can check, okay. And this response you can add headers, add and content type. Here we are sending is as text plain, and then you have to do one thing, which is exchange dot send response headers, response dot get bytes dot length, then again try output stream exchange dot get response body and os dot write, okay, response dot get bytes. Here for 400 hex भेज देते हैं, and this is done. I hope everyone understood till this point. We have successfully coded our own HTTP parser. We have successfully coded our own file sharer with multiple client support. We have successfully coded our download and upload handler. Now is the time to test things, okay, locally, and then I will write a script that also Cursor wrote, but I will tell you how Nginx and Dockerization will do, and then we'll put that onto AWS Lightsail, and then we'll check through my phone. That is our end-to-end project. So let's do. So whenever my main application will be started as a server, I have to make sure that that server is invoked in the main application only, right? Because my compiler of Java will be invoking this method first, not file controller, not file sharer. So I have to make sure that I start the server, right? So file controller is equals to new file controller. File controller accepts one port, so I will start my server on 8080 port. Even in the deployment production stuff also, file controller dot start method we have already defined. Okay, so file controller throws IO exception, so that's why you have to do this. Okay, so you have to put try catch because our file controller gives us a checked exception, and checked exception you have to catch. So we are catching at the top root level, right? Peer link server started on port 8080. ठीक है, port started on 8080, system out, UI available at, ऐसे लिख देते हैं, ठीक है, and runtime dot get runtime. So we have to add one shutdown hook if you have to close your server whenever you are going, right? So you have to start a new thread. Inside a new thread you have to either you can pass a runnable like we did earlier, or you can pass a lambda function here. ठीक है, shutting down the server. File controller dot stop we have, which will stop the server, and this thread will run, right? Runtime dot we have added one runtime thread, and this thread will run whenever we are shutting down our server. ठीक है, so press enter to stop the server. So whenever someone press enter, so this is your homework to stop the server if someone enters, I mean someone presses the enters. Okay, so this is our complete thing that will start our file controller ka server. Then obviously our APIs are available at these are our APIs, download, upload, and our executor is there. We are starting the server, we are stopping the server. Course handler is there just to make sure that everyone is able to connect to my server. Then whenever someone is uploading a file, we are making sure that our file sharer is getting the file after some validations, and that file is using something called multiparser, and that parser is complex. So we created our own HTTP parser, we created our own handlers, we created our own implementation of P2P sharing using multithreading also, right? So it's a damn cool stuff. So that's it. Now you should go through this thing and you will understand what is happening in front end, right? although always backend first you have to go through and then go through front end, because you know backend what APIs it is exposing and what is it doing. And now you can go through all the functions in page.tcx, handle file upload, handle download. You will get to know that we are using the file name headers and all that we are passing from the backend, right? Whenever we are passing this, whenever someone is downloading, right? So inside download you will get to know that we are doing that. So, and we are using content disposition header also, right? So cool. So this was the project. So now we'll try to deploy it end to end using Docker's file, right? So for that we have to write Docker file. So we have to write two Docker files, one for Docker front end, one for Docker backend, right? So front end, right? So it's pretty, self-explanatory. So in front end, what I'm telling Docker to make image from, I am telling by use node 18, make a working directory into the container, copy whatever UI stuff is, copy everything from UI, right? Copy everything, and then run npm install inside the Docker. Okay, then copy UI. So first of all, copy UI package.json and run npm install every dependency of the UI library which is present in package.json. Okay, and then copy everything from UI, then npm run build. So npm.run.build, what it will do, it will create one file, expose 3000 port from Docker. So from Docker you have to expose 3000 ports so that my Nginx server can access that port. Then you have to run command called npm start in. So everything is happening inside Docker container. So this is a Docker frontend file, and the backend file, this is a very fairly simple. Use Java 17, right? Working directory, create a working directory app inside the container, copy p2p 1.0 snapshot.jar. So because my artifact ID is p2p, so whenever I will do maven build, it will generate a target folder, and inside target folder it will generate p2p 1.snapshot, and I am using only a jar which is Java archive, copying that to my container with the name app.jar, expose 8080 port because 8080 is the port on which my server is running, and Docker also Docker ka 8080 port I want to map to backend. So what is happening is, so first I am Dockerizing my front end. My front end is running at 3000 port. So I'm, Docker also I'm exposing 3000 port, right? And second thing is we are using backend ka Docker that is running at 8080 port, and I'm making a container which will expose 8080 port. Now I will make an Nginx server inside my VPS virtual private server that I will also set up end to end in today's video only, beginner friendly. My Nginx will make sure that someone if comes to 3000 port, right, from the outer world, all of these will be working inside my AWS Lightsail, my own VPS, which is free, very affordable, free for 3 months. Then you know what to do, change account, whatever, right? So outside world Nginx will run from on 80 port. So outside world, whatever my AWS Lightsail ka IP will be, I will use that. I will hit on 80 port, and my Nginx will decide if it is a client request, it will go to front end. If it is a backend request, it will go to backend. But all the time, you know that only front end will be accessible, right? So front end will be able to hit on 8080 port localhost only, because everything is in one machine VPS. So everything is in for this localhost only, backend is deployed on, right? So that is a fairly common thing. So for that we have to write one Nginx script, and then VPS automated script that will be that we will use. So for that I will walk you through the working, right? How is it working, right? So the main overall implementation with comments, everything is in main branch that you can access in the description, right? With backend, if you want to access only UI and want to build your own, then go to git checkout UI branch, clone UI branch, that will have only UI, and backend you have to implement. So now I am on my main branch, and in main branch you just have to create few things. Cool. So in main branch you will be able to see all these things like Docker compose I have written. So basically Docker compose is nothing but it will use, we have created two files, docker backend, docker frontend. Now docker compose, you can use multiple docker files to spin up your containers. So what I'm doing here is, so version 3 services, you can name anything. I've named backend, right? So build and then ports and then expose, right? So build, whenever you are trying to building your image, you are using docker file dot backend file, and you are exposing dynamic ports, all the dynamic ports, right, that we have included in the dynamic ports utils. If you'll go here, these are the ports that will be opened for the sockets, right, from my server. And whenever some clients will come, he will enter his port, right, he will enter his port here. So that client port also should be accessible from my server, from my VPS. So that's why I am exposing all the ports. Then frontend, using frontend, 3000 only port is exposed. And for the Next.js, you have to pass this environment variable also, but that's what, right? Depends on backend means unless your container of backend is not spinned up, your frontend will be waiting there for frontend container, right? So this is a docker compose file, very important. And then we have this vps setup.sh file. So I'll walk you through every step. So what we are doing here is that we are exiting on error. So this is just print statement. So this is a bash script that we will deploy, or that we will run in our VPS server only, right? So this script we will run and it will spin up the backend, frontend, everything in one go, and we'll be able to access our application. So first of all, we are using Nginx because AWS VPS, if you'll see the video, that video I will attach in this further section only. So let's set up AWS Lightsail first. Let's get over to that video first. So here we are. You just have to go to AWS, search Lightsail on the AWS dashboard. If you are new to AWS, make sure you give any credit card which don't have any balance inside it, or any debit card which is Visa and MasterCard. There will be no deduction because AWS Lightsail will be free for 3 months at least, and after that it will start charging. As you can see, $12 USD, $7. Go with $12 because there is enough RAM for future deployments, right? Go with Ubuntu dual stack, $12 USD plan. 2 GB RAM, 2 CPU, 60 GB SSD is more than enough for all of our personal projects. So let's choose that. Yeah, so here whatever name you want to use, just you could have to give that. And after that, your instance will take some time. After a point of time, it will get started. If you want to connect directly from the browser, you can connect like this. And this is your instance where you can see your username is Ubuntu and your IP is 172.267.192. Now the next point is we will give a static IP so that we have a fixed IP to connect to whenever we want to use our instance. So go to networking, attach static IP, and this name you can give anything, and this will be the fixed IP that we'll use in our projects. Cool. So after this, you can see all the IPv4 firewall rules are there, which you don't have to change. But now we will try to connect to our VPS from our local machine. But the thing is, we don't have any SSH connection yet. So I am trying here what exactly going wrong. So after that, you have to download your SSH key and keep it safe in your local machine. Don't give it to anyone else. So save wherever you want. And after that, you will be able to use your SSH into your VPS from your local machine using this PEM file. So you'll go to terminal, SSH with the file that you have saved. Ubuntu is my username, right? That we have just seen in the connect tab of our VPS. So after that, it will be needing some, permissions of the user. So we will change the mode of permission. First, I tried the mode of permission like just executable. It didn't work. Then I went to internet and I checked that I have to give the permission for OO. So as of now, I am trying what my suggestion in terminal is saying. But after the point of time, go to know that I have to give 400 permissions. So chmod 400 will work. We are connected. So that's the whole setup. So let's get back to our main video. Now you know how we can SSH into AWS Lightsail your own VPS, right? Now this script you can go through that. Now we are running on Ubuntu, right, which is Linux. So sudo apt update will do nothing, but in that this script will update all the packages if there are any old packages are overdated. So then you will install Java 17. After installing Java 17 in your VPS, you will install Node, you will install npm, you will install Nginx. Nginx is our load balancer, which will take all the traffic from outer world. It will redirect the traffic to either front end or back end depending on the load, right? So then installing npm, install gpm2. pm2 is nothing but it is a a tool that we will use to spin up our containers. Even if your server is throwing any error, pm2 will make sure that server is continuing running, right? It will not panic. And pm2 will offer us something called metrics dashboard also, right? We will be able to see some of the metrics on our like CPU memory and everything of our front end back end through pm2. Then we are installing Maven because Maven we have to use. Then obviously what we will do, this you have to comment out whatever your username is, right? You have to pass here. So for me, this is my repository. So inside my VPS, my git will be able to clone this repository, then go inside that repository, right? Then Maven clean package, right? Maven clean package, because src folder and pom xml file is at the root level of package. So inside peer link directory, I will be able to build Maven clean package, right? And then you have to go cd ui, and then you have to build npm run build. So now you will have jar file of backend after Maven clean package and a archive file of your npm in your build folder. Now you just have to do one thing, which is ensure that we have installed Nginx, right? So Nginx has a config which makes sure कि भाई 3000 पे request आता है, so whom I should redirect that request of 3000 port to, whom should I redirect a 8080 port request to, which traffic I should redirect. So all these things comes under Nginx config. So what we are doing here is we are creating so etc folder is while in Linux at the root we will have. After installing Nginx will have this thing, right? So we will create our own config at this folder, right, with peer link, and we will spin up our Nginx on 80 port, right? So we are saying that catch up all requests. So this is the config that we have to define कि भाई location API पे कोई भी request आती है. So we have the requests on APIs, right? So upload download this thing, right? So whenever you are making a request to upload download, your front end is making request to API upload, API download. So how API/upload is mapped to /upload of server, that is the main thing, right? So that is what Nginx is doing. So if you will go in your UI, you are making request to API upload. So API upload from client you are making, right? What it will do, it will make an API request, API upload or API download with port whatever you are passing. ठीक है? This API upload should be mapped to this front end. This API download should be mapped to front end, right? Both should be mapped to front end. So that's what we have written here. So proxy pass whatever is coming on API port, pass that to 8080, which is our backend. ठीक है? Whatever is coming through API, pass that to backend. Then these are the some headers that you have to set up, because this is our reverse proxy. So ये reserved headers that you have to set. ठीक है? Then front end पे if any request is coming, right, at this location, like if I will, my VPS is IP is, let's suppose this thing, my VPS IP is this, let's suppose. So if my VPS IP is this, then the default endpoint which I am hitting is / only. So if it's a / endpoint, normal endpoint, go on localhost 3000, go on localhost 3000, right? So this is thing. Whenever you are getting on API, you have to make sure that that request is going to 8080 port, right? 8080 port. Whenever it is normal, just go to front end, whatever your localhost is. So whenever it is doing this, localhost pe render karwa do, and these are the stuff. Then create the symbolic link. So then what you have to do is, whatever you have created this config for, you have to link that config to the Nginx. Okay, so that's what we are doing. Sites enabled, whatever we have created, we are making sure that we are doing symbolic link sites available. That's it. Then just whatever we installed pm2 start peer link backend. Okay, so peer link backend is the name that I will give to the target this jar file. Then after starting this thing, then start your front end. Then pm to save means just save the configuration, pm startup, and all these things are printed. That's it. So we have created our own AWS Lightsail. Yeah, so make sure after creating Lightsail, as you have seen through the video, that you create a static IP for your instance, right? And after creating static IP, you will be able to SSH into your machine, right? So before doing SSH, make sure it is started, right? So just click on start, and let me get back to desktop where my PEM file is there. So I have my own PEM file here. Where is it? Here, Lightsail default key, whatever PEM file is, and Ubuntu is my username. So if you will go inside this, right, from your browser itself, you will be able to connect with your instance, right? So my instance has username Ubuntu, so that's why I'm using Ubuntu itself in my terminal, and this is my static IP. So just click on this and you will be able to go inside your machine. So after going inside your machine, before that I debugged one issue. So I was getting some issue like your IO utils is not found, right? IO utils class is not found. So basically in our file controller we are using IO utils, and here we are using this IO utils to copy our request body into our byte output array stream, right? Our plain array to byte array to array copy. So this copy was, whenever I was running my application in production, I was getting that your Apache IO utils class is not found. This is because there are some dependency where you have to generate fat jar. There are two type of Java archive. One is plain jar, one is fat jar. So for that Apache plugin to work, you have to use this fat jar, and that fat jar plugin is like this. Okay, so you can GPT this, what is fat jar and plain jar difference, but this is what you have to do. And the next thing is you have a next config also. So if you'll go inside my GitHub itself, you will get to know that we have next config, and this config is acting as a proxy. So if you'll go inside your front end, okay, so from your front end you are making up to request. So in your page.tsx, as you have already seen that we have two type of APIs, which is one is handle download, one is handle upload, right? So whenever you are hitting handle download, you are hitting API download, but you know that on our backend we have only /download, right? And our front end is working on 3000 port and backend is working on 8080 port. So for that I have defined next.js config itself, right? For next.js you have defined here next.config.js. So we have did this ki whenever you are hitting this source API upload, make sure you are doing a request on localhost 8080. And as we have already seen that Nginx, our backend and front end all are present on single VPS, which is our Lightsail. So make sure you are doing this. And as you know that our Nginx Nginx and our backend and front end all are on the same VPS. So for my front end, what you can say is that my backend URL is localhost itself, right? Because all of them are in my same machine. And if you'll go in my VPS setup that we have seen, right, here you are making a proxy for API/path also, right? But I don't think you have to do this. You can remove this because we always have to user will always connect to the client first, right? Localhost 3000. Whenever user will come across this normal path, which is / only local your static IP / your Nginx instance will redirect it to localhost 3000, which is front end, right? We don't need backend even. So this project will be present. Let me push this first. So this project will be present in our GitHub. I'll put the link in the description, so you can go ahead and check that out. And this link, from this link only, I will, first of all, I will, in my SSH, I will do git clone. So I have the project already. I just have to get, let me check if it, okay, I don't have. So let's git clone this thing, right? And after that, let's go inside peer link and we can run VPS setup message. Got it? So VPS setup message will take some time, as it will build your Java, right? Java archive image, and then it will build your front end Next.js application, and then it will use PM2 to spin up your containers, right? Which is front end and back end both. And then we will check if we are able to, communicate through our phone or not. Let's check that out. So we are installing PM2 right now, okay? And let's see. So now you are building your Java backend, and it will run Maven package, right? Maven clean package, which will make sure that you are doing, you are making a Java archive file. So now your Next.js application will, try to build itself in production optimized build phase. And after that, how we will access our application, just go here. What is your static IP? Go there. And this is our static IP of our machine, and our, application is working in Nginx. So Nginx will work at 80 port, as you have already seen in our config. So we'll hit this after we have, built our front end. So now front end is up and running. Let's see. It will take some time. Okay. So peer link backend and peer link front end both are up. You can do PM2 list, right? You can do PM2 logs to check what are the logs we are getting. Cool. Address already in use 3000. Fine. Let's check if I am able to spin it up. I have one file which is hello.txt, which is hello, my name is Lovepreet, I am a backend engineer. Open it. So it was throwing this error again, even after making a fat jar. So I debugged it again and made some changes. So right now I am also copying all the dependencies from my target folder along with whatever my jar file I am making. Okay. And another change I have, made, let's see if it works or not, is, adding a copy dependency plugin, right? So it will make sure that all the dependencies which are made are also copied, and VPS setup script is also changed a bit. So if you'll go here and we'll check. So here we are making sure that all dependencies are in class path. So basically what it means is that along with jar, I am making sure that all the dependencies which are, to be included in runtime, it should be included, and that's it, right? So let's check if it will work or not, because there are some issues present, right? So let's do PM2 list and let's delete both of them. PM2 stop this and PM2 stop this, and then PM2, let's delete both of the, whatever we have created using PM2, let's delete both of them also, because we will create it afresh. So now let's git pull. So I have made some changes. Whatever changes I have made, I have to push cool. So now whatever changes I made, let's pull them in our AWS instance, right? After that, let's do VPS setup sh. Now it's downloading all the dependencies, right? I think now it should work because earlier we were not using dependency download, right? And in script we are now linking our dependency in class path also. Let's see if it will work or not. I don't think we should get IO utils not found class error right now. Let's check. Yeah, now I am able to upload the file, and this is the port that I have used, right? So now let's go into our phone and let's type this 3.111 file sharing 80. Okay, I hope you guys can see, right? I have typed the same URL. Let's go here and I am able to open the app, right? I am able to open the app. If you guys are able to see, then I will click on receive a file, right? Let me turn off the light. Okay, so this is camera is not focusing up. Okay, so this is how it's looking like. So let's enter the port, which is 63048 download file, and now I am getting download file also. See this download, save it, save to files. Let's open it in downloads and let's check what we have received. Here you can see that we are getting hello, my name is Lovepreet and I am backend engineer, right? So let's do share a file from my phone to computer, right? Let's refresh this and let me share a file from here. Share a file, choose a file. I'll choose the same file, right? And I'll go and receive a file. Okay, cool. So I'll go and receive a file and I will put 50493. Okay, download file, and on desktop let's make it test. Click on download, click on this, and you are able to see that I am able to download the file. So all in all, we are able to see that our project is working. So a fat jar problem was there, a dependency inclusion was there. I want to tell you that we are right now are able to transfer our files like txt files, JSON files, CSV files, right? Excel files. So all these files include text, right? Why we are able to pass them out, I've already discussed why we were implementing that. We have used a new string data. Data was in bytes, right? So if you want to pass, so that is what your project is, to extend this to videos, mp4 files, mp3 files and all mkv files, and for that you have to use new object, right? You have to use generic object instead of string. So that is what you will do and you will implement and include in resume after that. And that is it for today, right? I hope you have enjoyed the implementation. We will bring more full stack end-to-end projects in future, right? Soon, and maybe more complex, right? Leave your feedback below and I'll read them. And